Sa tingin ko, will stand talaga yung mga testimonya nila, will stand scrutiny even outside of the court, kahit sa mga quasi-judicial bodies, even in COMELEC, even in the Supreme Court, that will stand. Kasi wala ako nakikitang butas doon. Of course, it's never perfect, MJ. At saka mas mabuti nga hindi perfect ang testimony because it indicates a batch of truth. Di ba? Kasi kung perfect naman, baka rehearse or coach. So kanina nakita ko, hindi naman siya perfect na 100%. Pero they were really sincere and honest and detalyado sa mga sinasabi nila.
Atin na malaman din ang punto de vista ng isa pong dating commissioner ng former PACC, Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission, na una po, pinakaunang binuwag sa ilalim po ng Marcos Jr. government. Makakasama natin via phone patch si Attorney Manny Luna. Attorney MJ Poito, good evening. Welcome sa SMNA Nightline News.
Magandang gabi, MJ. First time yata natin dalawa ito.
Opo,
Sa
sir.
SMNI. Oo, I'm very honored to be interviewed by you. Okay naman tayo, nakaantabay lang tayo sa mga nangyayari sa Senado kanina at hanggang ngayon I keep on tracking kung ano mga development.
Opo, maraming salamat sir sa inyo pong panahon. Sir, sa testimonya po ng 18 ex-soldiers, saan po kayo pinakanagulat kanina sa kanilang mga revelasyon?
Well, yung kanilang pag-reaffirm doon sa kanilang sinabi sa kanilang affidavit, yung joint affidavit or pinagsamang salaysay nila, na nag-deliver sila ng maletang pera sa first family. Doon ako na-shock talaga. Kasi yung iba kasi, meron na tayong knowledge about that. Kasi nagkaroon ng press conference or conferences before, isinbuwalat na nila yan, yung mga kongresista at senador na tumanggap di umano ng maletang kickbacks. Pero yung emphasis nila doon sa first family, referring to the President, the First Lady at kay Representative Sandro Marcos, doon ako na shock kasi they were really very detailed, straightforward, and honest about it. Wala akong nakikitang invento doon sa sinabi nila eh.
Opo, at meron pong isang senador kanina, sir, no, nakapuna, na napaka detalyado raw po ng mga pahayag na kahit katiting daw na detalye na magkamali kahit sa spelling ng pangalan, pwede raw yung i-refute sa court pag binusisi po yung ebidensya. Itong ganitong katibay po ng mga pahayag, sir, ito ba yung makatatayo sa korte? Sa inyo pong tingin?
Well, sa aking experiensya, I've been in the practice for almost 3 decades, 30 years na, halos. Actually, 29 years. And I have seen it all. I've been a trial lawyer, up to litigation counsel, up to the Supreme Court, and even in the COMELEC. Nakita ko lahat ito. At witnesses like that, when they declare statements in a straightforward, sincere, honest, and detailed manner, usually sinusustain yung mga testimonya nila sa korte. So I think, yung kanilang sinabi kanina will stand legal scrutiny in a courtroom scenario.
Opo, lalo pa yung kanila pong mga sinabi na meron pang corroborating evidences, attorney. May screenshots pa with timestamp, sir.
Yeah. In fact, doon din na I was very observant kanina regarding that. Kasi may mga detalye doon na wala sa kanilang affidavit. Pero nilabas nila for the first time kanina. So I said, these are very, very damning evidence against those being named. Smoking gun yung kanina, yung mga dagdag na mga detalye nila. And the more it strengthened yung kanilang kredibilidad at credibility ng kanilang mga testimonya.
Opo, lalo pa, attorney, no, na napakatindi po ng kanilang mga pinangalanan ng mga personalidad. Kasama nga po ang Presidente Marcos Jr., former Speaker Martin Romualdez. Ito pang mga ganito, sir, makatatayo sa korte?
Yes. Kasi normally, an ordinary person will not name itong mga high profile or perceived to be strong personalities, and especially those mga personalities na nasa poder ng ating pamahalaan. Imagine mo, presidente, pinangalan nila, yung dating speaker, pinangalan nila. And some senators, even former Senator Soto, or Senate President Soto, pinangalan nila. So, they are not definitely joking kasi alam nila yung rest back in case na nagsisinungaling sila. So, I don't see any reason why they will tell lies in the face of all these serious accusations before a Senate investigation at that. Tapos, with all the cameras and the attention of the nation at them, kung hindi totoo yung kanilang pinagsasabi.
Opo, that explains well na meron pang mga nagsasabi, Attorney Manny, na hindi lang pala yan 18, may 100 pala yan. Lalo na kung mag-appear yung mga kasama pa nila. Ang iba raw, Attorney, active pa sa serbisyo.
Actually, I'm expecting additional people coming out. Mga 12 yata yan gusto ring lumabas. I'm not really sure kung matutuloy. Pero if mangyari yan, the more ma-strengthen yung kanilang mga alegasyon. At NJ, I just want to say ito. I have witnessed hearings in the Senate as a resource person and as counsel, and also in the House as counsel, in several investigations and hearings. At normally, itong mga resource persons na nagsasabi ng totoo, pagdating ng korte, sinusustain sila eh. So, I remember several years ago, I was counsel to 12 congressmen in the Senate, I mean in the lower house, and some former senators, and even during the time of one committee chairman ng Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, I was a resource person. At na-notice ko, yung mga nagsasabi ng totoo, usually, straightforward sila at walang takot when they relay before the committees yung kanilang nalalaman. At yung mga kasong yon nag-prosper either sa Sandigan Bayan or in the lower courts. So, and even in the office of the Ombudsman. Kaya kanina natutuwa ako dahil sa tingin ko will stand talaga yung mga testimonya nila, will stand scrutiny even outside of the court. Kahit sa mga quasi-judicial bodies, even in COMELEC, even in the Supreme Court, that will stand. Kasi wala ako nakikitang butas doon. Of course, it's never perfect, MJ. At saka mas mabuti nga hindi perfect ang testimony because it indicates a batch of truth. Di ba? Kasi kung perfect naman, baka rehearse or coach. So, kanina nakita ko, hindi naman siya perfect na 100%. Pero they were really sincere and honest and detalyado sa mga sinasabi nila.
Opo, sa experience po niyo, sir, sa case build-up sa PACC, ano pa kaya ang lacking na corroboratory testimony para po mas mapagtibay pa ang mga ebidensyang isinuwalat ng 18 ex-soldiers o ng Brave 18 kanina? Kasi syempre, na-mention po yung pangalan ni former Congressman Zaldico na may possibility raw na mag-testimony via Zoom.
Yeah. Mas mabuti siguro kung magsalita na si dating House Appropriations Chairman, Congressman Elizalde-Co. At sabihin na niya kung ano talaga ang nangyari. And si Gutesa, sana lumabas siya uli. Pero for purposes of filing cases before the courts, and investigation purposes, yung mga sinasabi ng 18 ay enough na. Pero kailangan for conviction, kailangan yung testimony also ni Tiksay, Mark Tiksay, at saka yung isa. Di ba? May dalawa silang minimension doon na taga-bilang ng pera at saka taga-account ng pera na dinideliver nila. So kailangan yon. Kung sa korte na ito. But for purposes of investigation, enough na yung sinabi ng mga dating Marines and Army.
Opo, pero di ba meron na pong naunang video series si resigned Congressman Zaldico? Tingin mo, sir, enough na rin po yun to sustain the testimonies po kasi nung lumantad siya, ang present pa lang noon si Gutierreza. Tapos lumantad na itong 18 ngayon, sir.
Well, for investigative purposes, pwede rin gamitin yon. Pero what I'm saying is, formally, kung sa korte na, like Sandigan Bayan, nag-appear din ako, nag-practice ako sa Sandigan Bayan normally they will require direct testimony being given doon mismo sa courtroom. So, dapat siguro mag-execute ng affidavit si Elizalde and then have it notarized before the consulate or embassy of the Philippines kung saan siya, and then perpetuate his testimony through video conferencing and deposition. Yan pwedeng gawin kahit wala pa siya. In the meantime, that there is a threat to his life, pwede through deposition and through video conferencing.
Sir, do you think kung hindi po na defunct ang PACC, do you think magpa-function siya ng mabuti? Ngayong na may mention po yung pangalan ng presidente, Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission yun sir.
Well, under a good president, it will really function. But under a president that suppresses the truth, magkakaproblema kami kung nandyan pa kami. Di ba? Kasi ano ba kami kumpara sa isang presidente? Kaya nga Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission. Pero kung ang presidente ay fair, like former President Duterte na binigyan kami ng poder at ng trust to do our job, siguro mas maganda.
So nakita mo na yung complete picture, sir. Bakit parang blessing in disguise? Tama ba yun? Na nawala ang PACC?
Actually, it was a curse for them, for the current administration, na inabolish nila ang PACC. Kasi, one, it opened the floodgates to massive corruption. At ngayon, wala silang masandalan na justification. Kasi anong pwede nilang gamitin? In fact, yung ICI na binuo ni President Marcos Jr., nawala na lang ng saysay din So you see, kaya mali yung pag-abolish sa PACC, but then, kung hindi rin naman inabolish tapos kokontrolin niya, hindi magiging maganda ang resulta ng trabaho ng PACC. So, it works both ways. Parang double edge yon. Pero mas mabuti sana kung yung PACC ay binigyan ng legal mandate by Congress. Ginawa sanang formal na investigative body, not exactly concurrent with the powers and jurisdiction of the Ombudsman, but for purposes of investigating mga presidential appointment. Pwede sana yon magpasa ng batas ang Kongreso para lalong mapalakas yung PACC instead of abolishing it.
Opo. At ngayon pong Monday, mayroon pong sariling version si Senator Erwin Tulfo sa BRC hearing sa flood control. Imbitado rin po ang 18. Ano ang forecast mo, attorney?
Well, we still don't know kung anong advice ni Attorney Levy Baligod. Give respect to Attorney Levy Baligod because he's the counsel. Kung ano yung mga decision nila dyan, kung attend sila, doon sa, they will give way to the invitation. Pero, you see, there's a question Yung new majority na sinasabi, controlled by Gatchalian, is existing under questionable circumstances. Kasi binuo yan, yung 12, in violation of Article 6, Section 16, sa paragraph 2 of the Constitution. Kailangan kasi ng 13 to do business. There was no quorum pursuant to the provision I mentioned, at saka yung universally practiced formula sa parliamentary setting, yung 50% plus 1 formula. So, kulang na kulang yan at saka void ab initio. So, lahat ng komite na i-reorganize ng Gatchalian group, I don't even call it Gatchalian majority. To me, it's just a gang. It's just a group. Ay void ab initio. Wala siyang mandate. At saka illegal ang magiging aksyon ni Senator Erwin Tulfo sa Lunes. Kaya baka hindi mag-appear ang 18. Depende kasi I cannot really predict what will be the advice of Attorney Levy Baligod.
Opo. Pero sinabi po ng IBP na constitutional daw, attorney, may quorum daw yung 12. Anong tingin mo dun, sir?
Well, hindi naman tayo nagmamagaling but I've served 12 congressmen in the lower house, 1 deputy speaker, 11 congressmen several years ago. I've also served some governors as consultant to them and also mayors as consultant and counsel. Mali yan ang sinusunod nilang formula. Hindi pwede 12. It is really universally practiced na 50% plus 1 is the minimum quorum formula. So, kung 24 ang Senado, 50% of 24 is 12 plus 1 equals 13. Kaya 13 dapat yun sila eh. Ang nangyari, ang ginawa nila, nag-elect sila ng Senate President pro tempore. That's even illegal kasi under Senate rules and the Constitution, 13 ang kailangan eh. Just like the Senate President. So there was an implied admission on the part of the Gatchalian group na wala silang majority of 13 kasi iniwan nila ang posisyon ng Senate President eh. Hindi sila nag-elect ng Senate President. And that will be to the advantage of Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, the one claiming to be the Senate President up to now. And I believe that the group of Cayetano is the valid majority.
Opo. Wondering lang kami, sir, no? Dito po sa, syempre, marami din ako nababasang comment ng ating netizens as to what authority daw yung pag-preside ni Senator Gatchalian wherein hindi naman po siya majority, minority senator po siya that time.
Kaya nga, it was like a meeting or a caucus of the minority senators. So it was not a session at all. It was done in contravention of the Constitution, particularly yung Article 6, Section 16 sa paragraph 2, which states that a majority of each house shall constitute a quorum to do business. So very clear yung provision na yan eh. So ano ba ang formula? Ang formula na sinusunod ng mga parliaments all over the world is 50% plus 1 in determining the majority. So kung 24 nga, 13 ang minimum number or the threshold which was never attained by the group of Gatchalian. Kaya void lahat ang ginawa ni Gatchalian. Is not even the Senate President pro tempore. Illegal yung kanyang pag-assume dyan sa posisyon na yan.
Opo, dalawa po ang paksyon ngayon sa Senado. Both are claiming the majority. May deadlock din na yatang mangyayari, sir. Hanggang saan lang po ba ang intervention dito ng judiciary, ng Supreme Court?
Well, if there is a petitioner from either side or from the citizens group who will bring a petition before the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court entertains it, although it's a political question, but the Supreme Court can always entertain a petition based on grave abuse of discretion. Tingnan natin. Pero I cannot also predict the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is really independent and a part of the third branch of government. Hindi natin alam kung anong gagawin ng Supreme Court. Just in case merong petition, either i-entertain niya or i-dismiss. In the case of Abelino versus Cuenco, actually, dinismiss yung petition eh. Ang nangyari, obiter dictum lang meron. So, it's an aside opinion which is not even a ruling case law. So, yun ang problema yung ruling sa Abelino versus Cuenco. Hindi siya ruling case law, hindi siya doctrinal, so to speak. Kaya hindi pwedeng gamitin. Mali din ginamit ni Senator Gatchalian yung Abelino versus Cuenco. It was not doctrinal and a ruling case law. It was a mere obiter dictum.
Opo, sir. I was just also wondering, sa rules of impeachment, di ba nakalagay talaga na mag-preside is ang Senate President? Pwede ba?
Yes.
Pwede po ba na magpasa sila ng sariling rules, so to amend the rules amongst the senator para po hindi na Senate President, mag-a-appoint po sila ng either of the senators to become the presiding officer of the impeachment court?
Yan din ang problema dyan eh. Hindi pwede because the Constitution is very explicit kung sinong uupo na presiding officer. It should be the Senate President. And when you speak of the Senate President, he should be the validly elected Senate President. So, kung si Gatchalian ang uupo, that will void the proceeding of the impeachment. And that will favor Vice President Sara Duterte, who even filed a motion to dismiss of the articles of impeachment. So, masisira ang proceedings ng impeachment pag in-insist ni Gatchalian na siya ang mag-preside ng impeachment court.
Opo, tsaka may mga panawagan nga, attorney, na ano na lang daw, ang Chief Justice na lang daw instead ang Senate President ang mag-preside.
Hindi rin pwede
Hindi rin
kasi
pwede.
hindi rin pwede because we have to follow the language of the Constitution. We cannot change it. We cannot amend it by applying the provision in a different way. Unconstitutional din yun. Kaya nga, ang mangyayari dyan, that will void the proceeding. And that will favor our Vice President Sara Z. Duterte.
Opo. Attorney, to sum it up, itong mga nangyaring fiasco bago po ang actual investigation po ngayon ng Blue Ribbon, sa inyo pong pananaw at sa inyo pong karanasan sa PACC, lalo po sa inyong case build-up noon, sa inyo pong mga investigation, masasabi po ba ninyo na worth it, no, yung mga nangyari from the past days, yung mga kaguluhan dyan po sa Senado, dahil ito na napanood po ng taong bayan on a national scale, napakinggan po nila at na lista po nila yung mga pangalan na binanggit po ng mga dating sundalo.
Well, there are two views here, no? Ang isa is parang blessing in disguise kasi nangyari ito after that chaotic struggle ng dalawang grupo. 'Di ba? Natuloy ito. Tapos the people have been very thirsty and hungry for the truth dito sa flood control. Yung iba naman sabi nila na ang gulo eh. Kaya paano tayo uusad sa ating mga priorities, national priorities and problems, maayos yan kung ganito ang mga senador, magulo, very chaotic sila. But in a larger scale, mabuti na rin siguro na nangyari ito. Kasi after that chaotic event, natuloy rin yung Senate investigation sa flood control, wherein yung 18 dating sundalo ay nakatestify. Iyan naman talaga ang gusto ng mga Pilipino, malaman ang katotohanan. There has been a lot of obstruction being done para hindi sila makatestigo. So ito na siguro ang hinihintay ng mga Pilipino natin, mga kapwa Pilipino, na malaman nila and decide for themselves and judge kung ano ba talaga ang katotohanan dyan sa 805 billion mali-maliit ng kickback at 1.5 trillion flood control corruption.
Opo, last na lang sir. Pag nagpatawag po ng special session ng Presidente, can I actually interfere with the affairs of the Senate?
That's another anomaly. Kasi alam naman niya na magulo pa, there are two groups. But ito yung distinction ko The group of Cayetano, I call them de jure because they were validly constituted in accordance with the rules and the Constitution. Itong kay Gatchalian naman, the Gatchalian group, maybe de facto because nakaka-exercise din sila ng kanilang poder in a way. No? Also disputed din dahil kinokontra ng kabila. So yan, ang isang kategory na pwede kong ibigay sa dalawang grupo. Pero for the President to interfere, that will just create more confusion and problems. Kasi bawal po yan sa doctrine of separation of powers. Actually, ang dapat mangyari is, hintayin muna niya, mag-settle down yung dalawang grupo. Huwag dagdagan yung problema because it will just create further division between the two groups. Hindi yan makakatulong because one group will question his action and accuse him of undue interference and unconstitutional act on the part of President Marcos Jr. So magkakaroon ng mas malaking problema.
Yung Malacanang po, nirecognize po yung Gatchalian faction.
Yeah, I have seen that in the news. Yun nga, well, that's the start of the more chaotic event na mangyayari dahil diyan. Kasi hindi naman binding yan In fact, interference yan. At hindi pwedeng gawin yan because it's a political statement. Yan nga ang isang reason inaakusa ng Malacanang na ini-influence yung grupo ni Soto at sa ni Gatchalian, controlling them. And then Cayetano is saying na kami ang independent majority. For the first time, we were elected and constituted without the control of Malacanang. So, ngayon, papasok ang Malacanang, sasabihin ni Claire Castro na nire-recognize nilang Gatchalian group. Hindi nakakatulong yan It just creates more chaos and more division. And we cannot afford to have that forever kasi marami tayong problema, MJ. Lalo na sa ating ekonomiya, we have to salvage or save our economy, kasi may warning na sa atin ng World Bank eh. Pag hindi natin naayos, irreversible ang sitwasyon natin.
Opo. Pero nung si APC po ang naupo, wala naman po silang sinabing ganong statement ang Malacanang. So,
Oo nga.
obvious po ba? Tanong po yun ha.
Na bias.
Obvious po ba?
Obvious na bias sila, MJ. And we can see between the lines, klaro eh. At saka, the president should really stop giving statements like that. Kasi implicated siya dito sa skandalo na ito eh. Dito sa flood control scam at saka sa mali-malitang kickbacks issue. So dapat siya, exercise neutrality. Kasi lalo siyang pagbibintangan dito. That's the political implication, MJ.
Opo. Pero, pag magkaipit-ipit, maaring sabihin na hindi po nakikialam ang Pangulo sa affairs po ng Senado.
Yan nga eh. Pero, the people are really watching the actions also and the actions of the senators. You can never deny from the people yung poder ng sovereign people under Article 2, Section 1. Sovereignty resides in the people and all government authority emanates from them. If they look at the government na wala ng patutunguhan, lahat ay kaguluhan na lang, hindi na nila ginagawa ang kanilang mandato, can you prevent the people from exercising their so-called sovereign right? Ayun ang malaking tanong dyan, MJ, pag hindi na ayos ha.
Sir, huli na lang, gaano po kahalaga ang salitang independence pagdating po sa iba't ibang sangay ng pamahalaan? Yan po ang laging sinasabi ni Senate President Alan Peter Cayetano, ni Senator Attorney Cayetano, na sinusulong nila ang independenteng Senado.
Well, that should be the case. Hindi lang ang Senado dapat eh. Dapat ang lower house, independent din. Kasi meron silang mandate for checks and balance, di ba? Nasa constitution din yan at sa tradition yan ng tatlong departamento kasi tripartite system tayo eh. It was constitutionally designed that way na dapat may checks and balance. Eh paano magkaroon ng checks and balance kung hindi independent ang Senado, hindi independent ang House? Nakikialam ang presidente sa kanilang mga affairs. Pero hindi naman absolute independence yan eh. Ang sinasabi ng Constitution, independent pero coordinative sila at saka co-equal. Yun ang dapat i-exercise. Dapat may konting restraint ang Malacanang sa kanilang ginagawa. Kasi pag kinontrol nila ang Senado, that destroys the independence of the Senate and that is the start of all the chaos, political and legal.
Opo. Sir, maraming salamat po sa inyong panahon at mabuhay po kayo.
Mabuhay, NJ, and it's an honor na ma-interview mo ako for the first time. Thank you, SMNI, for this privilege.
Maraming salamat, sir, sa inyong pong panahon at mabuhay po kayo. Yan po si Attorney Manny Luna, mga kababayan, ating po nakasama sa mga pagsapo na may kaugnayan sa issue sa investigasyon sa flood control diyan po sa Senado.